What is going on, everyone? Anthony Drew Gary here, host of the How To Show, where we talk about optimizing life, money, and happiness one how to at a time. Before I get started, I have to give a quick shout out to Illinois basketball, who got the roadkill tonight against Ohio State. That was a fun game to watch, and hopefully they continue to do that. But this week on the show, we're going to talk about how to live together with separate finances with a question mark. It is not my job to pontificate on this topic as to whether or not you should or should not combine your finances. But to say the least, I have a question in this arena. And thankfully, I saw something on the internet this week that allows me to pose some thoughts and hopefully get some feedback from the audience to let me know where I got this right, where I got this wrong. And so if I share some content here, and I put my own face in it because I'm still learning my new tools here. In the Bigger Pockets Money Facebook group, there was a post that said, "So I did some new calculations, parenthetical, now that my wifey can pay half the bills." This suggests that they split their finances somehow. "And if I tapped my entire net worth, I could keep up my lifestyle for over 8 years without working and basically take a long-term sabbatical. I know one isn't supposed to think like this, and it can be tempting to get super lazy, but I use this remembrance to keep myself motivated for a better future away from working all the time. Do you all have any other ways to keep in the golden mean, to stay hungry, but to avoid the confident rashness of desperation?" And so my thought here is that this is fascinating. And when it comes to combining your finances versus not combining your finances, again, I'm not going to pontificate on that issue, but I think it ends up being really, really important to make sure that your significant other is on the same page with you about money and that you have similar goals. Because this little blurb here and this question that's being asked, the answers that you might give to this could be completely different based on whether or not these two people have similar philosophical values about how money works and what they should be doing with it. If you've got a scenario where you've pooled all your money, you're hopefully saving a little bit for retirement, but the good, the bad, and the ugly, you're all in it together. And that might look a little different if you're somehow, keeping your finances separate, and either you pay half and the other person pays half, or you pay some sort of pro rata situation where it's a percentage of, your incomes, depending on whether or not you two both make the same or one makes more, the other one makes more. It can get a little interesting and a little fascinating. And I'll go ahead and get this off the screen here just so that I can continue to have this discussion. That in that scenario, this guy is basically describing a circumstance where he would quit working for 8 years and supposedly his spouse would not. And that starts to bring in these discussion points of whether or not that's going to present the quality of life that this guy might want it to. Because, right, wrong, or otherwise, you can't go take a backpacking vacation for 6 weeks if your spouse is still working. I mean, you can, but you can't probably take them with you unless they've got some flexibility in their own workplace. And to carry this thought out even further, let's draw up a scenario where two people are splitting their finances in such a way that it allows one of them to contribute for retirement, for a rainy day, for savings, for whatever it is, and the other one might not be able to. What happens when after 10, 20, 30 years, person A has been saving for retirement that whole time and person B has not been? Do you retire without your spouse, even though you're married and together and have been together for 30 years? It just starts to paint a picture here that could cause significant frustration later on because of the decisions that are made now. And I kind of hope that there are some people that they get involved in the discussion in the comments here with this one specifically, because the way that I'm posing these questions, I think you guys can draw to the conclusion that my wife and I, we have everything together, and the anticipation is that we're going to retire together at the same time, no matter when that is. But if you were in a situation where that wasn't the case for you, you might find yourself in the storyline that I posed a couple of minutes ago that says that, one of you might be able to retire, or in that video, or in that post from BP Money, one of you might be able to take a sabbatical for 8 years. And, how does that fundamentally change the relationship that you're in? It's fascinating to me. I want to hear your thoughts on this one first and foremost. If you are somebody who does or does not commingle your funds with your spouse, let me know it in the comments. Let me know how you're thinking about these sorts of things. And it doesn't even have to just be retirement. It can be big capital purchases. What happens when the refrigerator goes out? Do you split it down the middle? Do you split it pro rata based on how you make it? Do you have some other arrangement there? And, the same goes for cars. The same goes for children. I'm just really kind of curious as to how this works. Because I'm not going to suspect here that I've got it all figured out. I've got something, and my wife and I do that works for us. But the entire idea of YouTube is to share ideas with others that might be beneficial, or at least can better explain the alternate point of view. And so hopefully I can provide a platform for this in this specific episode to talk about, when you do not commingle your finances, how do things like that work? Let me know in the comments if you would. I'll be sure to engage with each and every one of you. And if somebody feels really strongly about this, I wouldn't mind getting you on the show. We'll have a conversation about it, and, we'll see what comes of it. So that's going to bring this episode of the show to a close. Hopefully this is worthwhile. Hopefully I get some feedback on it and we can continue this discussion. As always, you can engage with me in the comments, and you can subscribe to the channel to be the first to know about new content each and every Wednesday. If you are looking to transact real estate in the Indianapolis or greater Indiana markets, I or someone on my team can help you with that. Get in touch with me in the comments or at indeedwell.com. Till next time, this is Anthony Drew Gary, host of The How To Show, signing off.